You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. We're moving right along. This is episode 415. Over here, Washington Commanders. We're talking about the loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. 414, the Baltimore Ravens. Recap, that's done. The Maryland women's basketball team recap against Coppin State and Duke, and preview against Syracuse, that has been completed as well. This will all go up tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow I will record the Maryland men's basketball team recaps, Florida A&M, and then Maryland's football team lost to Oregon. I want to clear something up really quick with my last video in one final thought when it pertained to quarterbacks. So when I said in terms of the media making my point, months ago, before everybody was on this train of he will be fine in Chicago. Now, there's a show, I can't remember the show. I don't really watch it. Chase Daniels on it, James Jones, the faculty, something like that. I don't know. I don't really watch it. But essentially said that Caleb Williams got his office coordinator fired. But see, again, that's how I know, that proves my point. You're quick to say he blamed, you're blaming, he's responsible for his office coordinator getting fired. But again, this is bigger than Caleb. This is more about the Bears. That's the point I'm trying to make. This goes deeper. It's you're failing these quarterbacks. And there has to be accountability for that. So I wanted to clear that up. But less enough of that. The Washington Commanders took on an AFC North rival, and I was hoping that the Washington Commanders would have helped us here in terms of just the game, and that didn't happen, and that is okay. We lost. The final score was 28-27.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Game over, yeah!
Oh, my God.
So I'm going to start on Pittsburgh side. I really, when you looked at this game, Pittsburgh is a really good team. At first, I have to apologize, and I'm being real honest with this. I have to apologize to Russell Wilson. I just think for me, how everything looked in Denver, I don't think he was the problem in Denver. I think he was a part of it. I think now that he's no longer there, I think he's playing a lot better. He had the first three touchdown passing game performance since Big Ben. That was in 21. They did a lot. I mean, their defense, we'll get more into that. Pittsburgh really hasn't played anybody that was you could deem quote unquote challenging. Atlanta, Denver, they're okay. The Chargers, I know they've been dealing with injuries. The Raiders, the Jets, Giants, no. And then the Colts, they're a mess right now. Everyone's just taking pot shots at Anthony Richardson. And then there's Dallas. But I thought Washington, for the most part, I thought was a good matchup. The injuries, now in fairness, we did have some injuries. And I did think that did kind of hurt a bit, especially going into the Steelers game. We didn't have Brian Robinson. I thought that was kind of a miss. I'm looking here at the injury report right now. Let me see. Austin Siebert was out, so we had Zane Gonzalez up here. Derek Forrest was out. Marshawn Lattimore, Dominique Hampton, and Cornelius Lucas were all out. So that played a role. And again, I think Pittsburgh has proven that they are a true AFC contender. I think they still have to worry about a few other teams in the AFC. Again, I mean, they have some, with Mike Williams, Preston Smith, and those guys they're adjusting very well. I really think that they're catching on. Especially that offense now with Calvin Austin the third and George Pickens and Van Jefferson, Pratt Freiermuth and Najee Harris. That offense can definitely do something. While again, I don't agree that Justin Fields should have been benched. I get it. I think somebody of a quarterback like Big Ben, Russell Wilson is the closest thing to it. And he has elevated the offense. That's the best way I can put it. I think that's not a shade to Justin. It's not him. I just think it's just they're just two different styles of play. And I just think personally, I just don't really see what I don't see what him being there does, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, from a Raven, Patrick Queen, we know he definitely played a role in dominating our offensive line. He had 7 tackles. So that was something. And we got to worry about them with the Ravens. So that should be interesting. Outside of that, I mean, Pittsburgh, I mean, they were the more experienced team when it comes down to it. Outside of that, I mean, you look at their defense. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward led the team with 2 sacks. Preston Smith, sacked Jaden, had a sack on Jaden Daniels. And again, offensively, Russell Wilson found a way to get the ball to 6 different receivers, including Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, 7'6", 7'8". So again, all 4 receivers with him, but those got George Pickens, Mike Williams, Calvin Austin, and Warren, they all averaged at least 10 yards per reception. I mean, they all made the plays. I mean, that kept them in the game for the entire most of the game. Now, that's no shot disrespect to Washington. There was a couple times where their offense stalled, and I think, credit, we did make some good plays defensively, but I mean, if you look, Pittsburgh in the second half, they were down as much as 10 points, and they gave away 2 turnovers. There was Russ Wilson interception and a Jalen Warren fumble. And then again, it just at one point that's like defense for Pittsburgh took over, and that kind of I think was the momentum that went in Pittsburgh's favor. On Washington's side, again, this is a learning experience. Jaden, we've gotten away, let's be honest, we've gotten away with, he's been playing careful with the ball. He's, not turning the ball over. We've ran the ball well. We've done the best. We've done pretty good with protecting him. You haven't seen a lot of drop passes. But looking back at the tape, Sunday, there was a lot of that. And in fairness, Jaden, he didn't look his best. I know the rib injury might have played a role, but look, if you can, I've learned if you can walk, you can play. And again, Pittsburgh, that defense, watching them for years playing against the Ravens, Pittsburgh defense defensively, historically, are always going to bring it 110%. Jaden Daniels kept his team in the end, and we'll talk about the Zach Ertz short on the fourth down. We'll talk about that. But again, I think we faced a good defense, and again, Brian Robinson was not out there. He wasn't out there last week against the G-Men. Again, Austin Eckler had a couple nice runs. But again, when you are facing a defense that's that physical like Pittsburgh, that's where you'd appreciate a guy like Brian Robinson. We'll find out what happens when we got to play Philadelphia on Thursday. I'm going to say this. I've said this many times, as you've heard me when it comes to basketball. I don't think officiating was the reason we lost this game. I don't think so. Now, the last call, whether you think Zach, I think personally he got the first down. I don't think that's why we lost. We had, as the Eagles, as Hall & Oates had a song back in the late 80s, missed opportunities to take control of this game, and we didn't do that. There was a couple times where you saw Jaden trying to find an open receiver, or you saw guys dropping passes. That happened quite a bit. We didn't take advantage of that. Defensively, we got to hold them accountable. And it doesn't help when you have, we couldn't get off the field. We had Pittsburgh in multiple third and long situations, and that does not help. This overall on all phases of the football did not look good. We can't sit here and point fingers. Everyone has to be held accountable. Now, again, couple things could have for me. I feel like for me, you could have. I feel like it would had. I feel like we could have settled for a field goal. Could he have scored a field goal touchdown? I don't know. I don't know, but Zach Ertz he was a good signing for us. But again, I think he had the first down. I just think those things will get better as the season progresses. But again, from where this team was last year, I know some people are going to say like, There's no moral victories, but I still think I wouldn't panic. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I get it. Philadelphia, as of right now, is first place, and we see them on Thursday. But it's really now at this point, it's a two-way race for the NFC East. I still think Washington will win it, in my opinion. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, again, as I'm continuing, I should maybe continue with all the notes, with running the ball, for example, like Pittsburgh, as an example, only given up 100 yards of rushing last 3 games. That was going to be a key, and you saw it. I mean, but we finished with 60 yards on 22 carries. I mean, the biggest play was Austin Eckler was 44 yards on the day. He had 2 of our touchdowns, converted 2 third downs. But I mean, outside of that, Jerry McNichols and Jaden Daniels and Chris Rodriguez, I mean, painfully, they combined for 16 yards. I mean, either they just we just couldn't get a running lane open for them on the defense. It just was a lot. So there's a lot of things we could definitely fix. On the defensive side of the ball, Najee Harris, he's rushed for at least 100 yards last 3 games. He was limited to 58 yards on 21 carries. That's a positive to me. Russell Wilson was held to 108 yards passing, painfully, until the fourth quarter. We forced 2 turnovers. Did every little thing. The 2 biggest mistakes came at the worst time. Where our friend Mr. St. Juice allowed Mike Williams to score on a 32-yard touchdown that gave them the lead, and then the next one was on the 4th down where Johnny Newton jumped off sides.
Game over, yeah! I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
And pretty much at that point, we had used all 3 timeouts, so Pittsburgh had all the right ways to just run the clock. So, yeah. And again, also too, our Tress Way, special teams, he was out there. He punted the ball 6 times, if I remember correctly. And again, at the beginning of the season, we didn't see him much out there. And I think also too, the season we had 242 yards. Jaden Daniels was sacked 3 times. Again, I just think the lack of production again in our experience from third. I just think the offense again experience. I think will get better. We were just kind of again all phases of the football. We just didn't find ways to gain momentum, and we didn't try to take advantage or make an opportunity out of something. And again, we'll be okay. Now, and I'll give another positive. Our special teams, they don't. I mean, needs some work. Now, we did make a mistake on the special teams. Was it Sir? I'm gonna botch his name. Please forgive me. Sir Carlos. I apologize. He botched. He muffled on the second a couple punt returns. Again, that's never happened. And then there was a fake aggressive punt return for Pittsburgh, and I think it fell the pass right through. I think it was it felt it was I forget who tried to catch it, and we capitalized on it, and we scored 3 plays later. But coming into the game, We had the fewest turnovers in the league, especially on special teams. So the fumble, I mean, again, that lets you know there's a small margin for errors. But outside of that, like, again, like, I'm not panicking. Yeah, I'm not worried or anything, but again, like I said, Pittsburgh was the most experienced team. This is a learning curve. Again, like, you're going to have games like that. That is okay. I'd rather have games like this now for us to learn and grow from this. Look back at the tape and be ready. Again, like, you won't see like Jaden Daniels completing 17 of 34. You won't see that. You won't see him throwing 202 yards, no touchdown interceptions. That can't happen. I mean, that's his lowest QBR, which was 68 compared to what I think it was against the Panthers was 79. So I don't think you're not going to see that. As he's still, again, you're not going to recover right away from a rib injury. As someone who's experienced a rib injury, groin injury, nobody in 24 hours or a week like that recovers. Because, if you noticed our game midsection, they were wrapping him up midsection. So I don't know. So we'll see. But again, we'll be fine. I'm not worried. Everybody, Musa, we'll be okay. And again, if we had those guys out there, Marshawn Lattimore and those guys, it'd been a different ballgame. But this is, I'm not going to sit there and bash any of these guys. I didn't like to see Johnny Newton. I like the fact they had that man on camera crying. I didn't like that. He made a mistake, and I know it happens. He's been a good player for us, and you just got to keep your head up and be ready for the next game. You have a short memory of it, point blank period. And painfully, Mr. St. Juice. Now I see why we traded for Marshawn Lattimore, because Lord have mercy. You are a walking pass interference call waiting to happen. I don't know if it's just technique. Lord, you are something when it comes to defense. The responses, lack of awareness. Like, how do you let Mike Williams just go past you like that? And it's not the first time this has happened. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear you dislocated your finger. I don't want to hear that. I don't. Because if you dislocated your finger, that's no excuse. You got nine other fingers. That should not have stopped you. Put some icy hot on it. You put some little Azorbine Jr. or something. But outside of that, they were fine. Olamide Zacchaeus. I think I'm saying that right. Again, the guy who muffled the punt. That's a mistake. That he'll bounce back from that. Again, he's a pass catcher. I'm not worried about that. Again, he did have a couple. He did have a. He would have had. It was a good play. It was a slant. But he dropped the ball, which would have been a huge gain. But yeah, that was that didn't help neither. But it's okay. But I'm not going to beat a dead horse with this game. I know I'm curious to see what others think, but we'll be fine. Again, yeah, we haven't had our bye week yet neither. Once this Thursday night game occurs, then we have a little mini bye week as well. Baltimore's coming off one. I think the mini bye week a lot of people don't realize is that I think that really, really does a lot for a lot of people. And it's really good to have it because I think it the mini bye week, especially, everybody get chance to get everybody back healthy. It gives you an opportunity to look back at film, make some adjustments, and just be ready. But outside of that, I mean, again, the Commanders will be fine. They'll be ready for Philly. But y'all let me know your thoughts on the game. But overall, I mean, look, lost about 1 point. You held what we right there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not too many teams that they face can say I scored. Not too many teams can say that. So that's something I could definitely be proud of if I'm the Commanders. So, hey, give Pittsburgh credit. That's why Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the NFL. They got a stout defense. Russell Wilson's a future Hall of Famer. And that's why I can't stand to watch them in the AFC North at times. But, again, hey, it's for each game is a week by week case. I learned that Kyle Hamilton said it best a few weeks ago. So our official bye week is not till week 14. I think, ironically, that's around the same time I think the Ravens as well. So once we play the Eagles Thursday night, same thing, mini bye week, and then we face that team in Dallas, and they don't have Dak Prescott, who's now out for the season. So we see Cooper Rush. Well, I mean, for Philadelphia, because they've been on a little tear as of recently. My keys is going to start with stopping the run. We need to contain Mr. Saquon Barkley. I'm going to take something away, and I think it's taking away the run. Personally, I'm going to make them beat me by passing the ball. I know they've got Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and those guys, but you got to take one of those phases of I think if you eliminate Saquon Barkley and you make them one-dimensional, I think you're okay. Until we know what the injury report is with Brian Robinson, I think we got to figure out how to get our run game going early. And also, too, we'll see how the rest of the week goes as of tomorrow before Thursday's game. Who's going to be ready to play? If Brian's not ready, Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, Austin Eckler. He's been running number one running back for when he was in Los Angeles, so he knows establish a run early. I wouldn't say blitz Jalen Hurts. I would say contain him, not blitz. Contain him in the pocket as much as you can, but don't be afraid to throw a blitz in there every once in a while. Don't be afraid to disguise your coverages, zone, man coverage. Like I said, take away the run, make them beat you passing the ball, establish the run early, and just protect and then protect Jaden. Again, like I said, you're not going to see a game like against Pittsburgh. That's just me. But I think if they do all those things right, I think the Washington Commanders can surprise the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to say the Washington Commanders Thursday Night Football. It's actually going to be a Thursday Night Thriller Part 2. The Washington Commanders surprise the Philadelphia Eagles. The final score, 30-27.
Guaranteed.
That's my final score for Thursday Night Football, and that's my recap. The Washington Commanders versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What were your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers game? What would y'all have done differently? What are your thoughts on the Eagles game? leave them in the comments below. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Be tuned in for future episodes. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all future content. Again, thank you for the support you've given me and this channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you soon. The next 2 episodes will be recorded tomorrow. But until then, I'm out. Peace. Stay out.
These are legitimate questions. I don't have answers. I'm starving for answers. I'm starving for them because I don't have them. I'm so disgusted.
He didn't even try.
I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming. Or act like I know this was coming because I did it.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
I mean, damn! Damn!
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?